Sahana vavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome all of you for the online satsang of the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. So we'll be continuing to do our study circle on Sutra Vahini. So as we mentioned before, this is Brahma Sutras is one of the parts of the Prasthana Trayam. Prasthana means journey, in our spiritual journey, because for all of us spiritual seekers, this is a journey. The goal is self-realization, or to realize we are divine, that we are the embodiment of love. So in this journey, so the Guru guides us, but there are scriptures, three major scriptures that is called Prasthana Trayam. Trayam means three. What are those? Bhagavad Gita, the Gita which Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna, so which is for all humanity. Second is the Upanishads. There are 108 Upanishads, but 10 of them are major Upanishads talking on the various aspects of the knowledge of the Brahman or knowledge of the Atma. And actually, Swami was kind enough. There are many commentaries from Adi Shankara and other great philosophers and scholars. But Swami also gave commentary on these 10 Upanishads in the Upanishad Vahini. We should read that, Upanishad Vahini, and we did the Gita Vahini. This Sutra Vahini is on Brahma Sutras. And in this, we started last few weeks ago on the first Brahma Sutra, Atato Brahma Jijnasa, because we want to get knowledge of the Brahman. That is the scripture, that is the ultimate, because the sum and substance of the whole Vedanta and scriptures is only one, to realize the Atmic state. And that is what Adi Shankara said, Shlokarthena pravachyami yadartham grandha kotibhihi. Says, I'm going to tell you in one sentence summary of all these scriptures in the world. Kotibhihi, that means hundreds of thousands of scriptures. I will tell you in half a shloka. What is that? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmayena Paraha. Just three aspects. Only truth is Brahman alone is true. Brahma Satyam. Jagan Mithya, the world, the way you see, is not really the way it is. It is illusory. It looks like that, but it is really Brahman. And Jivo Brahmayena Paraha, the embodied being, what we think, we are nothing but Brahman. So this is the fundamental conclusion of the scriptures, that Brahman alone is here, this whole world is illusory, and we, the embodied being, Jivas, are nothing but divine. That is why Swami says, always assert your Godhead. So that is the essence of these teachings. So for that, to reach that knowledge, like any other even worldly knowledge you want to get, you need some qualifications. You want to go to medical school or a law school, or want to graduate in engineering, first you need credential to go to school, high school, college, and then take prerequisites. Same thing in, this is the highest Brahma Vidya. Having attained which, there is nothing more to attain. So for that, these qualifications is needed. That is what is covered in this first Brahma Sutra. Very important. Atato Brahma Jijnasa. After this, you will have this Brahma Jnana. After this, after what we talked about it. At least let us remember 4 important things, 4 major things. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, 4 is Mumukshatam. What is Viveka? Viveka is discrimination. Vairagya is detachment or renunciation. And third one is Shat Sampatti, 6 virtues, will come to that. 4th is Mumukshatvam, intense longing for liberation. So we talked already about this briefly. First, Viveka, our whole spiritual quest starts with Viveka, because most of the people are caught up in the regular, as Swami says, Kana, Piyana, Marna, Sona. We are all caught up in eating, drinking, sleeping. Nobody think of the highest purpose of life. So for that, you need to have discrimination. Is this what the purpose of life is? Or is there anything higher? So anything that, for that you need to discriminate. Is this something which is real, or this is permanent, or is this impermanent? So it starts the inquiry. All the great teachers you see, everybody, Swami Vivekananda, Lord Buddha, they always start like that. Is this the purpose of life? Is this what all about? So then they get the discrimination. Is this, that is what called Viveka, Nitya, Nitya Vivekam. Is it Nitya means permanent, Anitya means temporary. Is it temporary, painful, or permanent and blissful? Then once you know that, next stage comes Vairagya. Yeah, this is all causes pain always. This is all the things. So let me focus on something which gives the high joy, bliss. That is why the people go in search of that. Even in the olden days, even the kings. Now Swami says nobody want to leave the seat. Even people have to take on the crane and put them in the chief ministership or whatever it is. But those days, even the kings like Dharmaraja, Kulashekara Alwar, there are many kings we have seen in our scriptures. They voluntarily renounce that in pursuit of that highest truth. And even the Lord Buddha was an example. So that Vairagya, that kind of renunciation, detachment comes. But Swami went higher up. You don't need to really renounce. In the old days, they renounced the kingdom, go to the forest for contemplation. Swami says, no, you can be in the world, but not be of the world. That means you should not get entangled. Like Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when you cut a jackfruit, he gave example those days, to cover your hands with nice oil and cut, then it won't stick to you, grease. So how you get involved? The Swami said beautifully, head in the forest, hands in the society. You should act as if everything is very important, but in the mind, you should have that feeling. This is all a drama. This is all a dream. This is all the Leela of the Lord. If we have that, then even though you're intensely active, still you get that peace and bliss. So that is the Vairagya. And third thing, last 2 weeks we have been doing is Shat Sampatti, 6 virtues. What are those 6 virtues? First, we started with Shama. That means control the mind, because mind is the one responsible for bondage and liberation. So you turn the mind towards God, and then you are free and happy. And you turn toward the sense objects world, you are bound and in grief stricken. So that is how you turn your mind. That is the whole thing. As I said, Swami gave a series of discourses on the control of the mind, and this is the mind and its mysteries. So this is available in the form of the book. You can read that. So how important is the control of the mind? Even Lord Krishna says, of all the things, abhyas, constant practice and vairagya. It is no question. Control of the mind is very difficult. Lord Krishna says, asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam. Mind is fickle and it's very difficult to control. So, but says by abhyasa and vairagya, you can control the mind. As we constantly practice, because when you want, you can be always sit when quietly you want to sit, meditate, just for 5-10 minutes. Within that, just jumps into one thought. You make a determination, at least for 5 minutes, let me not go. Mind jumps. So that means we are not focused. That is the test. How much we are really focused on that. So you ourselves can how fickle our mind is. So that constantly practice, then you get. That is so first is Shama. Dhamma is control of the body and senses. That is why bend the body, mend the senses, because always use the body for the service of others and the senses that use for the only good. Hear good, hear no evil. Somebody was telling, I was listening to this WhatsApp message. Just always we should focus. How is it going to make me closer to God? Is it going to help? Because always people, particularly nowadays, one way it is good if you use it for good purpose. Like Swami says, the knife, it can be used to help save somebody's life in the surgeon's hands, but it can be used to kill people. Same thing with internet, the media, if you use it for being in the company of the holy, listen to Swami's discourses for the holy people, it is good. But just for chatter, gossip, that means that valuable time is lost. That is why the scripture, Badram karne bishunyama deva, Badram pashye, see good, see no evil. Hear good, hear no evil. Very simple practice. Swami says, speak good, speak no evil. Do good, no evil. Simple practices that will says that will take you to God. So that is why second thing is this Dhamma, control of the body and the senses. How do we use it? So even hands, they're used for using something else or using for serving people. Feet are using to go to some places of not good places, are using go to places of worship, temples, good holy people. That's why everything should be related to how it takes us to God. And then we talked about Uparati. Uparati means going beyond the pairs of opposite, heat and cold, praise and blame, profit and loss. You should go above that. That is Uparati. Then we talked about fourth is the Shraddha. Well, more than that, Titiksha. It's very important. I told you, go to this discourse on forbearance. Last time, Karthik shared that in the discourse. This is in 2000, right? 2000 or 2002, Swami gave the discourse on forbearance, which is very powerful discourse. He says, forbearance is truth, forbearance is dharma, forbearance is everything. If you practice, and he gave many examples how people have that great forbearance. Example is like Kunti, Draupadi, so many people, they went through so many difficulties. Even recent time, Professor Kasturi, who is the biographer of Swami, if you read his book, Loving God, you can see, my God, how much trouble he has, personal tragedies, troubles at world, troubles. Because as Swami says, he calls you Bangaru. They say, Swami said, watch out when he calls you Bangaru. Bangaru means gold. That means what? How does the gold become pure? You put the crucible, melt it, get rid of the impurities. So that time, it is a painful process, but ultimately the result is the pure gold. So this Titiksha, forbearance, is a great virtue, and Swami himself was an example. You read the lives of all great masters. So actually, I was told about Swami Vivekananda, one of the senior monks of Ramakrishna order, was telling me the other day, we know only one aspect of Swami Vivekananda, that how he gave a wonderful speech in Chicago, how he's adored. When he went to Calcutta, they gave a grand reception to him in his glory. Then after that, so everything over, after a few days, he gets a big bill. This is the bill for this arrangement. Poor monk, he is a monk. How people are just there, that is the way. And that the Chineshwar temple where he grew up, he was with Swami Ramakrishna, he grew up, Kali Ma's temple, he was allowed not to come in because he went across the oceans. Those days, it is not supposed to happen. So people are always, and there in the newspapers, there is one guy called Lata Mazumdar. So he was Brahmos, he was jealous. Vivekananda's name was going up. He used to write all bad things about Swami Vivekananda newspapers. So this happens, but he had the forbearance. says this doesn't apply to me. So that means the practice of titiksha is very important for the spiritual thing. And then we talk about Shraddha. Last week we talked about Shraddha is pure absolute faith. Faith in what? Faith in number one, faith in God, that God exists. That is why Swami says the greatest mantra is Devudu Unnadu. God is, 5-letter mantra, Godis. That itself is the complete faith. You should have the existence of God. Then you should have faith in your Guru, who has shown you the way to God. For us, it is easy. We don't have separate Guru and God. Guru and God are in one for us. Swami is our Guru, Swami is our God. Then we should have faith in the scriptures, that is the teachings of our masters. Sathya Sai speaks or Vahinis. We should have complete confidence, faith in every word he says. That is why in Buddhist, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami in Buddha. Second is Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami in his teachings. So we should have complete faith in the thing. And then we should have faith in the works of God. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. So that means order, which is established Swami's organization. And finally, most important, Swami says faith in ourselves. That yes, in this life, we have seen the avatar, we can attain the goal. So that is why this Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam. This is the great scriptural injunction of Lord Krishna. If you have Shraddha, you will get Jnanam. Because Jnanam is the ultimate goal of life. So if you have Shraddha, you will get the Jnanam. That is where we ended. At least these 5 things, at least let us have the basic things. Remember, then you will really go one step at a time. So today we are the last of the 6. There are Shat Sampati means 6 virtues. We talked about Shama, Dhamma, Uparati. Then we talked about Titiksha and Shraddha. Today we'll have the last virtue, which is called the Samadhana. We'll start there.
Equanimity, Samadhana. Equanimity is the 6th virtue. One has to be irrefutably convinced that what the scriptures, Shastras make known and what the Guru teaches are one and the same. One's intellect must rest upon and draw inspiration from the Atma at all times and under all circumstances. The aspirant for spiritual progress must be attached only to the unchanging universal consciousness. All actions should have the joy of God as their goal. One must place implicit faith in the scriptural dictum. All living beings are facets and fractions of God. To confirm this faith and strengthen it, one must look upon all beings as equal. The above 6th virtue is the treasure of spiritual struggle, sadhana sampat. In summary, the 3rd qualification consists of the 6 virtues: mind control, body sense control, withdrawal from sensory objects, forbearance, unwavering faith, and equanimity. Should we continue?
No, just because this is just, first is Viveka we talked about, then Vairagya. This is complete the another aspects, another qualification. First qualification is done Viveka, next is Vairagya. This 3rd one is Shat Sampati, 6 virtues. This is the last virtue. So the next we'll stop on the 4th qualification. So let us stop here and go to the next one. This is the 6th qualification, Samadhana. So just as it implies, just nothing but have that one-pointed focus only on God, and that everything is the nothing but manifestation of God. As Lord Krishna says, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuto Sanatana. I am the eternal one, and part of me is everything. Mamai Amsho. Everything we have to see is nothing but part of me. So whatever you see, so-called good, everything is manifestation as the divine. It's not easy sometimes when you see a tiger or a snake or a lizard to think it is God, and you can't embrace it. You need to use common sense, but on the back of your mind, you should think, yes, this is also divine. Putting in that mask, like Swami says beautifully, like a father, just for sons, he was playing with the son, suddenly put a mask of some tiger or a mask of something. He plays with his son, he gets scared, screams, then he takes away, then he laughs. It is the same one when you are putting the mask, so you should see beyond the mask. That is why Swami Vivekananda used to, the dogs are smarter. Their master comes in different mask comes, it will recognize because it can smell and recognize. But man, and the God comes in different forms, we don't recognize. Only this my form is the only form of God. To be able to see, as Swami said, everything as the aspect of God, to have that one-pointed focus on God, that is the thing. In which case, what will you do if you know everything is aspect of God, that you are focused? Whatever you do to please God. Sakala karma bhagavat prityartham. That's what we should remember. Whatever we do, does it please Swami? So when whatever you service you do, whatever words you say, whatever thoughts you have, that is why somebody recently wrote me 3 C's. One is constructive thoughts. Are my thoughts in the right direction? Positive thinking. My words are the good consoling words, somebody comforting. And finally, my deeds, compassionate deeds. So like that, you do that, then you are focused on God. Then that teaches you always, when you are focused on God, you're always have that equanimity. So that is about samadhana. So next one, now we can go the 4th one. So 6 we did, but all these 6 belong to one aspect, Shat Sampati. Now we'll go to the 4th one, which is mumukshutva.
Longing for liberation, mumukshvatvam. The next qualification for inquiry into Brahman to consider is the longing for liberation, moksha. This longing cannot arise from riches or the scholarship that may be won at great expense of money, nor can it emerge from wealth, progeny, rites, and rituals recommended in the scriptures or acts of charity. Moksha, liberation from grief and acquisition of spiritual bliss, can come only from the conquest of ignorance, or jnana. A person might master all the scriptures, shastras, along with all the learned commentaries written on them by experts. They might propitiate all the gods by performing the prescribed modes of worships and ceremonies. But these cannot grant the boon of liberation. These acts are all performed to earn benefits and boons other than the supreme knowledge, jnana. Only success in the path of knowledge can confer salvation. A person might have every article needed for cooking a meal, but if fire is not available, how can the meal be prepared? So too, if awareness of Atma Jnana as the only reality is not one, but liberation mukti can still be attained by bathing in the waters of sacred rivers, what shall we say of the fish and other aquatic species that spend their lives in the rivers? If spending years in mountain caves will lead to liberation, what do mice and wild beasts attain? If liberation can be attained by ascetic practices like eating roots and tubers and chewing leaves for sustenance of the body, must goats who feed on leaves and pigs that dig out rivers also attain liberation? If plastering the entire body with ash is held as asceticism, can dogs and donkeys that roll on ash heaps claim liberation? These beliefs and practices are signs of poor understanding. One must concentrate on achieving awareness of the eternal universal Atmic reality, Atma Jnana. The word Atha, with which the very first aphorism begins, means thereafter. After inquiry into its implications, it has been found that it involves acquisition of these 4 attainments: discrimination, viveka; renunciation, vairagya; the 6 virtues, the sat sampats; and the yearning for liberation, mumukshvatvam. We stop here.
Yeah. Yeah, so this mumukshatvam is the ultimate for a spiritual seeker. So in Viveka Chodamani, I don't know how many of you know the crest jewel of discrimination. Viveka Chodamani, crest jewel of discrimination. Adi Shankara says, Turlabham Trayametat Daivanugraha Hetukam Three things are impossible to get by human effort, is only by God's grace. What are those? Manushyatvam, being born as human being. There are millions of species of beings there than the universe, 8.4 million species. But to be born as human, because this is the form, this is the upadhi through which you attain the highest truth. Manushyatvam, mumukshatvam, this second quality, to have that intense longing for God. That is also by God's grace. Many people are not interested. Even if you want to talk about God, they will walk away. Okay, we'll see you later. That is why Sri Ramakrishna used to say when people, Swami Vivekananda, young people used to come to see him, along with that their friends used to come with them. They didn't have much interest in spirituality. So Sri Ramakrishna can see through people what their heart is. He says, yeah, you guys go there and go for a stroll next to the Ganges, because the Dakshineshwar temple is next to the Ganges. So whereas he used to give this high wisdom only to these young people who have got that intense longing. So to have that is God's grace. Third one is Mahapurusha Samshayam, to have contact with a great soul. And we have Purushottama, not to take us to the goal. So these are three only by God's grace. But this mumukshatvam, so is like a burning desire. He says, I want that, like Swami, somebody is a thief, he knows next room there is a big treasure. Do you think he can sleep? His mind is always thinking, oh my God, how to get that. Whole night he won't sleep. Similarly, once somebody knows this, the greatest treasure is this Brahma Vidya Jnana, you won't be able to sleep. So the mumukshatva, that hunger, that is why Swami also told me one time. So when I asked Swami, how do I know I have this longing? You have tivra paritapam, intense longing. If we have, this is where they compare, like somebody you put under the water, they're struggling for the last breath of air. If you have that kind of longing, then God will appear. That's why Swami said 11 seconds, God will appear. You need to have that intense hunger for God. That is the main criterion. That is why Sri Ramakrishna beautifully said, you should have the combined love of three things. One is for a miser, for gold, like I was talking about, thinking about always money, money, money. As nowadays, some people, that's all for them, their God is money. The morning, dawn to dusk, they think about wealth only. So that kind of combined wealth, the longing of a miser for wealth, or a chaste wife for her husband, so beloved for her beloved. So if you have combined love of that, then God will respond. You need to have that intense hunger. Then you don't need to have, as Swami here tell, you don't need to do the rites and rituals are good, pujas are good, but like he said, you may put the ash on over thing, you may go holy dip in the Ganges, they're all good, but that won't take you to jnana. Jnana is that intense longing. The examples are there, like Shabari, was she a saintly lady? She was a tribal woman, just was serving the sages, but she had so much love for Lord Rama. She didn't even care. She gave the food, she even tasted. But Lord Rama, how many times she saw? Only one time. She was liberated. One darshan, and she was liberated. When we asked Swami why we have so many darshans, because she prepared herself for so many years to develop the stage. Just she had that intense fire of thirst for God. The minute she saw him, served him, she became one with him, the Jnana. She was not a great scholar, saintly. Same thing you see in a great saint called Nandanar. He was supposed to be untouchable caste. He was doing the caste where they do shoes. In India, they won't even let them. But this man wanted to have intense desire to see Lord Shiva. So it is a beautiful story. It is how the Lord Shiva makes him come to the temple in Chidambaram to give him darshan, where, because in those days, untouchable people cannot enter even that. But Lord Shiva makes it happen, go into the dreams of all the priests. Hey, this man is coming, take him. So because he has that intense desire, God makes it happen. So, and same thing you can see in Srikalas, another Shiva temple, where this we shared about the story of Kannappa, who he was a tribal man. He offered even lingam the meat, and he put the the water from his mouth as an abhishekam. But Lord Shiva was pleased because he did it with pure heart, because he has a love and he sacrificed his even eyes for the sake. So most important is now not what rituals you do, they're all okay, and not what the scholarship we have, but how much longing, how much desire you have, even the people of these people. Not only people, even animals can be liberated. So in Sri Kalahasti, the name is Sri Kalahasti. That means a spider, a snake, an elephant. There is a nice long stories about them. How the name of the town became that Kalas, that Shiva's temple's place on that name, because they had so much love for Lord Shiva. So they are remembered more than any great saint, Sri Kalahasti. So that means what is important is the pure love for God. Like for recent, our Swami, the Sai Gita, Sai elephant, Swami said it won't be born again. So it is an elephant, but he had so much love for God. So what the bottom line is that mumukshatva, that intense desire for God, love for love's sake, the intense thing happens, then automatically we reach the goal. So that is the important aspect of mumukshatva. And continue.
The reason for inquiry, futility of reason. The next word, ata, the ta being soft instead of stressed as in the first word, ata means for this reason. The inquiry has therefore to be made for which reason? For the reason that awareness of the Supreme, the Brahman, can be secured neither by the examination of the texts of the scriptures, nor by the performance of rites and rituals, nor through the study of material objects, nor by the process of learning from the examples of other people. Because objects and individuals, rites and activities are transitory. They suffer from decay and destruction. They can at best help the cleansing of the mind, that is all. Activity, karma, cannot liberate one from the basic ignorance or award the awareness of the reality as Brahman. One has to be conscious of this limitation in order to win the right of inquiry into the mystery of the Brahman, the source and core of the cosmos. This very first aphorism stresses one lesson. The one who devotes life to earn the knowledge of the Atma, that is oneself, must possess holy virtues and must mold one's conduct and contacts sacrosanct. For no knowledge can be higher than virtuous character. Character is power, really speaking. But the person who has dedicated one's years to the acquisition of higher learning, ever good character is an indispensable qualification. Every religion emphasizes the same need, not as a special creedal condition, but as the basis of spiritual life and conduct itself. Those who lead lives on these lines can never come to harm. They'll be endowed with sacred merit.
Yeah. Maybe you can want to
continue the next one.
Or we can talk about. So anyway, Swami is emphasizing again that the virtues are important, which is character. That's why Swami repeatedly says, what? Education without character is not only useless, but positively dangerous. So because this is a beautiful thing, science without morality, education without character, politics without principles, commerce without morality, that means doing business without morality, law without justice, all these are not only useless, but positively dangerous. But unfortunately, we see so many of them, politics without principles, people, educated people without character, and doing business without any principles. That is why Swami beautifully put it. Just remember these basic formulas. then they're not only useless, but they're dangerous to the society. So character is, Swami is emphasizing for any spiritual seeker before anything else. So because even I've come across so sad in this last few months, even people who say devotees, simple basic thing is truth. You don't need to be a philosopher for being or you need to be a saint. Truth is truth, even a basic person. So if you don't practice truth, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa, and thought, word, and deed, whatever you see, Swami in the beginning, he said, like put in a water, there is a hole, everything is going off. At least we should practice. We can't be like Satya Harishchandra, who gave away the kingdom, family for sake of truth, or Lord Rama, who went to exile. At least in basic thing, practice truth, dharma, and love. That is why this is very important to remember that Swami is emphasizing to liberate you from the bondage. First, practice the character, which will make you have credentials to get knowledge of the Brahman. So you can finish rest of the things and then we can again have a comment.
Next, the primacy of moral character. Virtues are the most effective means for purifying the inner consciousness at all levels, but they prompt the person to discover what to do and how to do it. Only those who have earned good destiny can claim their excellence in discrimination. And adherence to this determination is the raft that can take one across this ocean of flux and fear, Bhava Sagara. The person of virtues has a place in the region of the liberated. Whatever the residual activity a person has perforce to engage themselves in, the impact of that activity will not impinge if the person is one of virtue. The person can merge in Brahman, the embodiment of supreme bliss. People may have performed a variety of Vedic rites and sacrifices. They might even be expounding the contents of a variety of sacred scriptures that they have mastered. They might be endowed with prosperity, owning vast wealth and heaps of grain. They might teach the Vedas and their complementary disciplines with due exposition of meanings. But without moral character, they have no place where Brahman is taught or learned. This is the lesson conveyed by this aphorism. The stage of equanimity, so essential for spiritual progress, can be gained only when the intellect, buddhi, is cleansed of the blot of deluding attachments and involvements. Devoid of that serenity, the intellect cannot proceed on the trail of Brahman. Why? Virtue, quote unquote, is only another name for the quote unquote intelligence that follows the prompting of the Atma, the self that is reality. Only one who has such virtue can win awareness of Atma, the truth. And once awareness is gained, one can no longer be caught in delusion or desire. One will no longer be touched by them. Next section, renouncing me and mine attachments. Desire and bondage to the objects desired and the plans to secure them are attributes of the individualized selves, not of the self or Atma resident in the body. The sense of me and mine and the emotions of lust and anger originate in the body-mind complex. Only when this complex is conquered and outgrown can true virtue emanate and manifest. The sense of quote-unquote doer and quote-unquote enjoyer of quote-unquote agentship might appear to affect the Atma, but they are not part of the genuine nature of the Atma. Things get mirrored and produce images, but the mirror is not tarnished or even affected thereby. It remains as clear as it was. So too, the person of virtue might be subjected to some contaminating activities due to a backlog of acts in previous lives. But they cannot mar or obstruct the person's present nature or activities. The individual jivi has these as genuine basic attributes: purity, serenity, and joy. The individual is ebullient with these qualities. A bird in flight in the sky needs two wings. A person moving on the earth below needs two legs to carry the person forward. An aspirant eager to attain the mansion of liberation, moksha, the abode of freedom, needs renunciation and wisdom. Renunciation of worldly desires and wisdom to become aware of the Atma. When a bird has only one wing, it can't rise up into the sky, can it? In the same manner, if one has only renunciation or only wisdom, one cannot attain the Supreme Self, Brahman. The sense of quote-unquote mind is the bond of deluding attachment. How long can one cling to what one fondles as mine? Someday one has to give up everything and leave, alone and empty-handed. This is the inescapable destiny. One has to give up such assumed relationships and artificial attachments through rigorous analysis of their nature and give them up as quickly as possible. This is what the world teaches as the lesson of renunciation. Attachment breeds fear and egotism. Only the unwise would yield to such worldly fancies. The wise can never bow to the blandishments of objective desire. All is momentary, only momentary. All is transient, very transient. So the wise seek to identify the everlasting truth and adhere to the immortal virtues that the Atma represents. These are the real people of virtue, the candidates worthy of attaining Brahma.
Yeah, I think that completes our
End of
first of the thing, first Brahma Sutra, Tato Brahma Jijnasa. So this is the end of that. So Swami clearly ends it saying that these people, these candidates, what they attain Brahman. So there are three important points. Number one, Swami is repeatedly telling you want to attain knowledge of Atma or Brahman or be one with God. Important is have good character. That's number. If you don't have it, however much you know Vedas, nothing. It's good to know that, but takes you nowhere. Important is to have the virtues. And second thing is in the knowledge of the Atman, Swami says two great obstacles. One is doership and enjoyership. Kartrutva and bhoktutva, because always, oh, I did that, even in his, oh, didn't you notice that I sent it? Didn't you recognize what the achievement I did? Also, this doership and enjoyership, I want the results. And another way to obstacles is, Swami says, ahankara and mamakara, the pride and the attachment. These are the things which make us not get the knowledge of the Brahman. So two things we need to get the agentship. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, are these two feelings of ahankara and mamakara. Like Swami says, the snake has two fangs full of poison. If you remove them, it does not hurt you. Same thing for us. These two are the ones which take us. Then when you remove that, then only you will get jnanam. Because finally Swami says that all this purpose is jnana. What is jnana? That is also in Avadhuta Gita. Ishwaranugraha heva pumsa advaita vasana. If we are interested in jnanam, that is only by God's grace. What is jnanam? Seeing only oneness. Advaita darshanam jnanam. Dual mind is half blind. Because for getting the liberation, moksha, jnanad evatu kaivalyam. The scripture says, jnanat evatu kaivalyam, to get moksha, evatu, that is the only one which will take to God. That is why Lord Krishna in Gita says, jnanitva atmaima matam. There is no difference between me and jnani. Others are also devotees, artho, jijnasu, artharti. But jnani, he gives the highest page. Once you attain the jnana, all these things won't, jnanagdi dagda karmanam. Once you have attained jnana, all your karmas are gone. We don't need to worry about, oh, I did this bad thing, I am doing this. Don't worry. Once the minute you attain jnana, the karma is burnt, like the whole heap of a mountain of cotton is burnt in a trice with a matchstick. So that is the power of jnana. That is why to get that, to have these good virtues, get rid of this doership, enjoyership, and attachment and pride. Thank you, Sai Ram. So